Hello! This is my workflow and working with the layer assets all the way from start to finish. Everything I have made, whether it was made for another person or if I'm just bored and feeling creative, was all for the sake of getting my work out there and present in the world of VR. Or more specifically in this case, VRChat. You see, in this game, people can create anything they want. The only limitation truly is your imagination. However, mine in terms of 3D model work is limited to only Spider-Man. If you know me personally or online, this must be a pretty big shocker. The applications I use for these projects and commissions are in different steps and go as follows. The first step is Blender, a free application we will use for 3D modeling and more basic details in terms of how the suit will look and how the animations will look when in VR. After that, we bring our model to Adobe 3D Substance Painter for giving the model its design and more intricate details like seam lines and fabric patterns. This is achievable through using pre-made materials from the community or by just making materials from scratch, which is my preferred method. And then finally, we bring all of those little jigsaw pieces together to make the whole thing come together with particles and toggles, the so beautiful... It's Unity. Unity is the game engine that VRChat uses, which also happens to be available to everyone who wants to upload stupid and fun stuff and design games. That's not what I'm here for, but I kind of like it. So without any further delay, let's get started. So, I should probably elaborate on what these quote-unquote layer assets are exactly, since I didn't really explain what they are. The Lair, or Spider-Lair, is a community within VRChat that is centered around Spider-Man, no duh, creativity, and overall entertaining community events and game nights. They have an awesome community, and I've met some pretty cool people through this group. However, the Lair also has a Gumroad and PayHip where they sell 3D assets and models of various Spider-Men and Spider-Women, which is only growing in terms of products and support. Lair Shop is run by the two heads of the Spider-Lair community, Bronx, the head honcho and creator of the Spider-Lair, and McMatters, the person behind these bloody gorgeous 3D assets. But with there being so many assets in the Lair shop, I'm only going to be using the base models to work with. They're simple and they're easy to work with. I've worked with them a bunch. I've worked with them a lot, but we're not going to talk about that anymore. Now let's just slap the male layer base into lovely, lovely Blender. Now this is what I want to make, my own design of the Spider-Man suit. Yes, I drew this. Don't be rude. However, there isn't any footage of me changing these models to how I want them to look. Mostly because I used my own custom sculpt, which was made way before I started this recording. But they use the same base meshes, which basically means they're the same. They just look different. Don't dig into it, please. Usually when it comes to Blender, you want to make sure you're happy with the model you're working on before you do anything fancy with it. In terms of the design I'm making, the only changes I made was... I made like a few changes. I just reshaped the body build to my liking, replaced the mask lenses, making the mask a separate mesh, replacing the web shooter nozzles, adding souls to the bottom. And voila! You are now caught up with where the actual footage starts. With everything set, it's time to animate the lenses. That might sound a bit scary at first, but it's honestly pretty simple. First, you want to separate the lens meshes apart. So first you would want to take the lenses off of the mesh, and then you want to separate those lenses from left and right. So the reason we separate the lenses is so that we don't affect the other one when animating the other. These animations are done using simple blend shape keys. This essentially helps Unity later on, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's not a big deal right now. Now, this part does get pretty tedious, but with time we have the shape keys that we want and are happy with how they look. I don't want to get too into detail on how that works because then we'd be here for an hour. Once we're happy with what we have, we can then do the same for the other side. Once that's done, we can reconnect the lenses to each other, combine these lenses with the base model, export as an FBX file, then it's off to Substance Painter, baby! This is by far my favorite part of making suits. I slammed the table and now it hurt my hand. Making the actual design of the suit itself come to life. Substance Painter has a bunch of cool tools that you can use, like paintbrushes, materials, and fabrics, and my personal favorite, the curve tool. This lets you make sharper or just flat curves and outlines for some radical details on whatever you're making. Now, I'm doing most of what you're seeing through something called black masks, which should sound familiar if you use Photoshop. They serve the same purpose here, however they are used for a variety of different purposes. 3 of them that I'll be using are called a metallic map, a roughness map, and a normal map. Roughness maps tells a model what parts of the texture will be smooth or rough through brighter colors in contrast to the black background. The same applies for the metallic map, only it reveals the, well, it reveals the metallic parts of a texture as opposed to roughness. Normal maps give the illusion that there is more details like muscles and wrinkles on a 3D model. This also helps direct where the light in a world will hit the model the most. All I'm going to say is that making the webbing is a pain in my ass. I mean, seriously, it took me 3 days just to get the webbing done. This stuff isn't quick. It takes commitment and patience to make what you want to make. The things like the base color and fabrics and patterns are usually a breeze, but highlighting the details and suits is my top priority to make it as best as I can. Then, after all the complicated stuff is done, I then add what's called an ambient occlusion map, or AO map for short. And once I like how everything looks, I export the textures to a folder I made to hold them, make sure to save my work before closing the project, and make a new Unity project. Now, remember when I mentioned that bridge in... Okay, hold on, actually. We're gonna get really close and personal here. Alright, level with me. Remember when I mentioned that bridge in Unity earlier? Well, we've arrived. Now, I did say that you'd need the actual Unity program, but in order to upload to VRChat specifically, you need the VRChat software development kit, or SDK. This will help you to upload what you want to upload. Now, I also forgot to mention that the layer assets, the ones I mentioned a bit ago, have their own Unity package, which means it's all bundled up, boxed up, and ready to go. And once you import it into Unity, it's ready to go. So this essentially means that these have been set up for us, and all we need to do is to upload it with the SDK. However, you do need a VRChat account, as well as enough hours in the game in order to achieve a certain rank of trust. Yes, this is an actual thing you need to do. Something that I totally didn't need to sit through and see horrifying things that children should not be allowed to see or do. No, I'm completely fine! Okay, with that mental break out of the way, let's get our stuff set up to upload. All we really need to do is import everything into the project. When you import textures, make sure that everything that isn't the base color, roughness, normal, or metallic, is not an RGB texture. This will mess with how it'll look. Set the normal texture as a normal map and untick RGB for the roughness and metallic maps. Now this scene has everything else set up for us, but there's one thing that I want to add, and that's a backpack to my model. It's cool. It's also worth mentioning that this backpack has bones. No, not like actual bones. These are meant to be in Unity. More on that later. Let's get on the avatar descriptor. This will help to make sure VRChat recognizes the model as an avatar. Then we apply the parameter menu, toggle menu, FX controller, which is what helps to program the animations we'll use for the avatar, and anything else we want to add in terms of setting up the descriptor. Again, I'm not going into too much detail. This script is already 5 pages long. So once I have set up the fizz bones for the backpack, which is the bones that I mentioned earlier, and set up all of the particles and animations, like the spider sense particle and the web trails particle, it is time to name and upload the avatar. It's finally f***ing done. I don't know if this is recording or not, so hello. This is what I just made. And you can see looks pretty good. Hello! Hi! Yeah, you know those lens animations that I did? The ones I pointed out in, hold on, I'm trying to look at both my monitor and in-game. Which is not going great. This is what it looks like in VR. This is the finished product after sculpting it in both Blender, doing the textures in Substance Painter. This is what it looks like. And the lenses, normally you would have to do animations for those, but I actually got them to work because I just redid the blend shapes. There's a whole other tangent I could go on in terms of just the Visemes, but I wouldn't have time for that in this video. But yeah, this is it. And you can see, on top of that, oh, that's what it looks like on the, okay, I can assure you right now, they look fine. Like, if I show you what my game looks like, they look fine. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. The trails, they work. Oh yeah, this has trails, by the way. It has trails. Oh shoot, I forgot to... Okay, that's fine. Also, on top of that, check this out, ready? Okay, you can't hear it in game because of the world, but I got drip now. Okay, just to show. Bam! Backpack. But yeah, and you can see all the details I put into it, like the little hexagon I did. I did a little different roughness on the web shooter nozzle. I think you can, yeah, you can see the stitch lines there. You can barely see it, but it's there. Yeah, it's just full body estimation, as I was saying. And you can see the lens shine as well. You can see a little pattern on that as well. Well, let me get the camera out again. Hold on, get over here. Right? That's pretty good. This looks pretty dope. But yeah, oh, also, if you're wondering where I am, boop, this is a world I go to, and that's the mirror I was just looking at. Does that show up good? Yeah. Oh yeah, also, something I forgot to mention, these hand animations, I did myself. I did not show it, because I already did it, okay? So don't get angry at me for not showing a part of this, because I already did it. I already did it. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. And that's it. That's basically my whole workflow in a nutshell. I did have to leave some other details out of this video, but this was meant to just highlight my overall workflow in terms of what I'm doing, kind of highlight how I'm doing it. I don't know. I didn't finish this last part of the script. I'm just winging it, but if you're still watching to this point, thanks. I didn't think I would ever try this. I never thought that I'd get the opportunity to even record in front of a microphone right now, which is pretty insane. I just wanted to talk about something I'm passionate about. I'm either on call with some friends or I'm just on call with my girlfriend. I just wanted to get something out there. You know, like everyone else is doing nowadays. I want to have my voice be heard. I do want to thank everyone who has pushed me into this kind of path. The school bell. Seriously though, thank you to those who pushed me to actually pursue this kind of path and were there for me when I needed them. I'm not very confident that I would be here without them. They are some of the coolest people I've ever met, and just being able to have them as friends is such an amazing honor, and I couldn't have better friends. But you know, it's honest work. And yeah, that's about it. Peace.